Thank you, Colin Pop Jones. Cumberland, this is Kyle speaking.
The pizza's here!
Yeah.
I know, right?
Tom Wood's lifetime powertrain coverage includes the 4 most important systems in your vehicle for unlimited miles and unlimited time at no cost to you. Protection from expensive repairs for a lifetime. Find the car you want the way you want at tomwood.com.
There is no better way to start a football game than this.
Block! Just the kicker to beat. Hamilton using it. Past the 20. Richard Hamilton to the end zone.
I don't know who we're playing, but they better be ready because the Center Grove Trojans are coming.
The field makes the grab at the 40. Donovan McCauley past the 30. One man to beat. Donovan McCauley all the way in.
The streak is finally over, man! The streak is finally over!
Oh my goodness, this game always delivers.
Welcome inside Giants Stadium, the site of your MIG-Network Game of the Week. I'm Logan Hunt, alongside I have Josh A. And obviously we have our face coverings on, but we are excited to have another week of high school football. This time, it's the #1 ranked Center Grove Trojans coming into hostile territory to take on the Ben Davis Giants.
Yeah, Logan, it should be a fantastic matchup. Stars aplenty on both sides of the ball, especially Center Grove, led by the warhorse Carson Steele, who may break some milestones tonight, both with touchdowns and career rushing yards.
Absolutely. Carson Steele's knocking on the door to some big-time career accomplishments. You've talked about him a little bit with the yards, the touchdowns. He's a guy that you know has big play potential whenever he touches the ball.
It really does, and that's why he's been the go-to guy ever since his freshman year. But it's not all just him. He's got a quarterback in Taven Jackson. He's got a sidekick in Daniel Weems as well, who's been really running it well this season. Not to mention on the defense as well. 2 of the best defensive linemen in the state, Austin Booker and Caden Curry, getting it done on the defensive line and wrecking opposing offensive linemen.
Those are 2 names you need to know, but there are tons of seniors on this Center Grove defense. It's something that Coach Moore has said he loves about this team is all of the returning starters that they have. And I tell you what, Coach Moore has a chance of a milestone of his own.
He really does. He is sitting on win number 199. One more tonight against Ben Davis will get him 200 wins as a head coach over at Center Grove. Obviously a big accomplishment up at stake tonight for the head coach.
And the Trojans, like we mentioned, coming to this one ranked #1 in the state. They have wins against Decatur Central. They have a shutout win against Warren Central and another shutout win against the Carmel Greyhounds. Will it be 3 in a row against 3 of the toughest matchups you'll find in the state of Indiana?
Perhaps it might be, but don't discount this Ben Davis team. They're feeling pretty good about themselves after a 48-24 win last week against a much improved Pike team. Defensively, the onus is going to be on them this week, led by some guys in the secondary, Anil Boatwright, Charles Knuckles, and of course Dalen Carnell, the Missouri football commit.
And obviously those are some returning starters for Coach Simmons. The Giants coming to this one 1-2 on the season. They dropped a couple early games to Brownsburg and Avon. You mentioned the win against MIG opponent Pike, and that seems like the game of who controls the west side. This is a game of who gets bragging rights in week 4 action. When you look at the offensive side of the ball, what name comes to mind for Ben Davis?
I mean, offensively, it starts at the quarterback position. This year, they've got a new starter in Jawan Swanson. He had his best game as a starter last week. 6 combined touchdowns, both on the ground and through the air, 3 apiece. If he can continue his play like he did last week, I think the Giants have a good shot of upsetting the top team in the state.
And I tell you what, that would be something to watch the Giants come from behind. We saw it last year. They started off a little rocky, made a trip to semi-state, and now we get to see the grudge match here between the Trojans and the Giants. We're excited here. Kickoff coming up next on your MIG Network Game of the Week.
We believe you can't put a price on peace of mind, so we don't. With Tom Wood's lifetime powertrain coverage, you're protected for unlimited miles and unlimited time, all at no cost to you. Find the car you want the way you want at tomwood.com.
Thank you, Colin Pop Jones. Cumberland, this is Kyle speaking.
The pizza's here!
Give me my Papa John's.
The cheese is my favorite. I love the plain.
Is that Supreme? Good.
I really like it.
They scored touchdowns here. You gotta be able to get these guys off the field to get the game. Nice punt.
The MIG Network Game of the Week is a proud product of Frontrunner Media's Next Generation Initiative. Thanks to Frontrunner, the MIG Network Game of the Week allows students around the MIG to get hands-on experience while working alongside media professionals. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by the hard-working students that make it possible. The MIG Network, led by students, powered by Champions.
Good evening and welcome inside Giants Stadium at your side of your MIC Network Game of the Week between the Center Grove Trojans and the Ben Davis Giants. I'm Logan Hunt, alongside I have Josh Ayen. And Josh, this game between the Giants and the Trojans we could have some milestones broken on the Trojan side of the football.
We really could. Just going down the list of milestones that could potentially be broken tonight. Let's start off with the Warhorse, Carson Steele. With one rushing touchdown tonight, he can match the career rushing touchdown record set by Johnny Zwitt at 59. Two more will break that record. Carson Steele also needs 173 rushing yards to tie the school rushing yard also set by Johnny Zwitt. Carson Steele right now, as far as career rushing yards, is at 4,524. He needs 4,697 to break that mark. 173 yards, I think that's light work for the Warhorse right there, Logan.
I think it is definitely possible. I agree with you on that. Carson Steele has shown he's more than capable of it, especially when you go back and look at some of the games that we've had between these two opponents, with Center Grove winning the last six of the last seven, And when you look at last year's Week 4 matchup in the regular season, this is one that Center Grove pulled away from Ben Davis on. They won 48-20, and Daniel Weems was starting in place of the injured Carson Steele at the time, and he ended up with 156 yards on the night. So I think Carson Steele could find himself in familiar territory, breaking a couple big ones. But I know that we talked to Coach Simmons, and it seemed like they had a game plan defensively on how they were going to limit Center Grove.
When it comes to defending the Trojans, you've got to be disciplined, and you have to be able to play all four quarters. One of the biggest things that Simmons really emphasized to his team after the first couple of losses this season was, don't let the plays come to you. You've got to go out and make those plays happen. Against a team like Center Grove that is too talented to slip up at times, Ben Davis, they've got to force the issue. They have got to make Center Grove beat themselves tonight.
And this is a game where the Center Grove Trojans come in 3-0 on the season with wins against Decatur Central, 56-14, and then two shutout victories against the Warren Central Warriors and the Carmel Greyhounds. And actually a dismantling of the Carmel Greyhounds, where they won last week 42-0 in a game that we don't typically see those types of scores.
You really don't, especially in a game like the Copper Kettle matchup. I mean, we were both at Lucas Oil Stadium last year. The offense came a little bit later in that game, but still, Center Grove and Carmel, that was a good even matchup. But to see Center Grove drop 42 and get the shutout on Carmel, that was certainly an eye-opener for the rest of the state.
Absolutely. There's a reason why they are ranked #1 in the state from the media poll and the coaches alike, as the Trojans coming into the season were the favorites, and they have answered the call. The Giants looking to play upset after picking up their first win at Pike last week, as we have kickoff from Austin Watson, and that's going to be a touchback as Dalen Carnell grabs it in the end zone. So the Giants going to start in their own territory, 1st and 10 for the opening drive.
And out comes to the field right now Juwan Swanson, coming off his best game of his young career as a starting quarterback. 25 of 34, 73% completion rate, over 300 yards passing, 3 passing touchdowns, and 3 on the ground. We mentioned this in the open, Logan. The Ben Davis offense will go where Juwan Swanson will go.
Swanson going to start out of the shotgun. 2 receivers, top side, 2 in the near. Fuentes in the backfield, and an early jump. Looks like everybody moving here, and it's going to be, looks like an encroachment here on the Center Grove Trojans will be the call. So a hard count, it's the Trojans early, and that's what you talked about, Josh, was getting the Trojans to maybe beat themselves to help out your chances.
Certainly an early mistake for Center Grove, a little bit trigger happy. You've got the fearsome foursome on that defensive line, bookended by Caden Curry and Austin Booker. I'm sure we'll be calling their names plenty this evening.
And again a hard count, and again a jump.
That is very uncharacteristic. I don't think we have seen that all season. Excellent work by Jawan Swanson working the hard count and making sure those defensive linemen jump off sides. And already a first down by virtue of penalty.
10 yards of penalties here as Ben Davis now on the 30. Finally, we'll see a play. Screen out wide. And spinning down for a loss on the play there for the Ben Davis Giants is Robert Peters.
Rob Peters had one of his best games of the season last week. 5 catches, 41 yards, and a touchdown. That time a little play out into the flat did not do too well for the Giants.
4 men down on the line for the Trojans. Swanson back to pass. Under pressure. Hit as he's thrown. It's up for grabs. Clark with the INT down at the 28-yard line. First down, Center Grove.
And we talked about the pressure from Center Grove. We were going to be calling the names all night of this defensive line group. That time, the defensive end you see on the replay right here, that's not even one of the defensive line. That is 32. James Schott, one of the younger guys coming in off the edge. Great move, dip and rip, getting his shoulders low, and forcing Juwan Swanson to throw a horrible pass.
Jackson under center. Handoff up the middle. Falling forward down at the 20-yard line. Spinning his way forward was Lucas Hoffman.
Hoffman, one of the guys that's underutilized on this team. Of course, we've talked all about Carson Steele and Daniel Weems. Good job by Center Grove to try and get some of the other guys on this loaded offense rolling early.
Shotgun set, Steele and Weems in the backfield with Jackson. Handoff to Steele. He's hit low right at the line, drops forward inside the 20. Going to bring up 2nd and short now for the Trojans.
Steele did not have, well, only a couple of yards on that carry, but the biggest thing for Steele is his durability. And something also of note, Steele hasn't had as many volume of carries compared to his first couple of years at Center Grove, mainly just because of how deep this running back group is. Of course, Eric Moore hoping that Carson Steele will stay fresh longer throughout the course of this game.
Handoff Weems right side. He's going to be chopped down by Charles Knuckles for a gain of about 3 on the play.
And there you go. You're seeing just how talented this running back group is, this time running a belly to Daniel Weems. Had his first 100-yard game of the season last week against Carmel.
Ball on the 15-yard line, 2nd and 7 for the Trojans. Steele alone in the backfield. Man in motion, handoff Steele, finds a hole. Breaking tackles, pushing his way in, and that is going to be down at the 1-yard line for Carson Steele, rumbling forward for 14 yards.
Carson Steele is just a man on a mission. That time you see exactly why the Warhorse is hard to bring down. Of course, we could talk all night about all the attributes he brings to this offense, his durability, his vision, but really it's just his ability to shed off tacklers and not go down without a fight.
Loaded set here, handoff Steele, working his way in, and there is a score for Center Grove and Carson Steele. As Carson Steele now with 58 scores in his career at Center Grove, tying Johnny Zwick.
That is a huge career mark for Carson Steele. Of course, hats off to the senior right there. And he is not done yet. One more rushing touchdown this evening will give him the all-time Center Grove career rushing touchdown mark.
Watson with the extra point. That is good. 7-0. Center Grove leading with 9:16 to go in the first quarter. The MIG Network welcomes the Tom Wood Automotive Group as our newest partner. If you're looking for a new Nissan, Toyota, Lexus, or one of the other 9 brands they sell, let the exceptional team at Tom Wood help you find your next car or keep the car you now drive in tip-top shape. Check out all their locations at tomwood.com. So now we're going to send it to our end zone reporter, Carly. Carly, what do you have?
Yes, there is great action down here. Center Grove just had a great touchdown with Taven Jackson handing the ball to Carson Steele to run in for the touchdown. There's been a lot of great energy already for the first half of this game. There's so much more to happen.
Absolutely exciting action here, 7-0 as the Trojans lead early on the Ben Davis Giants. And Josh, we saw that drive really start with the interception by Trey Clark and James Schott getting in there, forcing a bad pass from Swanson.
I mean, going back to that interception play, it was the defensive line really forcing the issue. James Schott, first time he's really gotten to the quarterback. So far, he's only had 8 tackles and a tackle for loss, but that time he made his impact on the game, getting to Swanson. Of course, Swanson hit as he throws. That ball was a gimme to Trey Clark.
Deep ball here into the end zone. Another touchback for Watson and the Trojans. So the Giants will come out starting on the 20-yard line for this drive. And it started out promising. You got the Trojans offsides a couple times to start. And then just in the blink of an eye, the Trojans are able to capitalize on a turnover. And still, it looked like Ben Davis had some momentum moving forward offensively.
Well, we're seeing right now already with less than 3 minutes in this first quarter, Ben Davis is in adverse circumstances, and that's something that Jason Simmons has harped on his guys all week. How can the Giants handle adversity? We'll see right here on this upcoming drive.
Swanson out of the shotgun. Looking right side, throwing it up deep. And this one is intercepted again. This time, gonna be the senior, number 23, Dane Young, coming up with the INT for the Trojans.
That time, that one was more on Swanson. Swanson just trying to force the issue on that throw, as you see on the replay. It was a one-on-one situation, 50-50 jump ball, but Swanson has to put the ball in a better place. Dane Young was all over it on that interception. Well done by the 5'9 senior.
And Dylan Moore did all he could to try to block that one, but Dane Young coming up with a great grab, and now Trojans with the handoff to Steele. Still spinning at the 45-yard line, so he will gain about 2 on the play for the Trojans before being brought down.
And here we go. Ben Davis is already in an uncomfortable situation right here. Center Grove can really put their feet on the neck of the Giants on this drive. And this is something that we haven't really seen from the Trojans the last couple of years, getting off to a fast start, not just in the game, but throughout the course of the season.
Jackson out of the shotgun. Play action, rolling left side, has room, takes off with his feet, sliding down right at the 44-yard line. First down, Trojans.
When you're Taven Jackson, you don't really need to do much as the starting quarterback. I mean, in this offensive system where Eric Moore loves to run the football, you need to be more or less of a game manager. That time, Jackson took what the defense gave him and scrambled enough for a first down.
Trojans moving the ball with ease early in the first quarter, already up a score. Thanks to Carson Steele rumbling in from 1 yard out. Man in motion again, handoff Weems. And shoestring tackle right at the line of scrimmage. Looks like they're going to credit that one to Romel Williams.
A real quick note about Romel Williams. Jason Simmons is really high on this kid. He's what a lot of coaches would call a program kid. He doesn't really show up on the stat sheet all too much, but he works his tail off, gets it done in practice every single day, and demands the respect of his teammates through his play.
2nd and 8. Jackson rolling right side under pressure. Lets one rip, and it's going to be caught by Connor Delp, chopped down at the 21-yard line. And again, first down, Center Grove Trojans.
I think Dalen Carnell was a little bit greedy on that coverage. He had the inside leverage and was trying to go for the interception rather than the clean breakup. You see on this play, Carnell had the leverage all over Connor Delp, but instead of making the safe, secure play by swanning it with his inside hand, he tried to go for the interception. That time it didn't pay off.
Handoff, Weems right side, has a hold before being dragged down by Williams again, just shy of the 15-yard line. And Connor Delp's a guy that's very underrated on this offense for Center Grove. Connor Delp with over 200 yards receiving and a couple scores already on the year.
He really is. I feel like you alluded to it, Logan. He's more or less one of the underrated guys on this team. He just gets the job done. I mean, we've talked all about Carson Steele, Taven Jackson, Daniel Weems, but Delp is that security blanket on this Center Grove offense.
Again, Weems making a man miss, barreling down to the 11-yard line. And it looks like going to be just shy of the first down marker. Now they're going to give it to him 1st and 10 from the 11 for the Trojans. And Neil Boatwright with the tackle there. And there are a lot of holes on that offensive line. Center Grove opening the C for Daniel Weems there.
I mean, it helps when you have huge guys over 280-plus pounds on that offensive line.
What a move from Steele as he comes in from 11 yards out. Carson Steele breaking tackles, working into the end zone, and there it is, the record for career rushing touchdowns in Center Grove football history. Carson Steele with 59 total.
You wouldn't have it any other way. Just look at Steele refusing to go down. Should have been brought down for a gain of none. Instead, he keeps his legs churning all the way into the end zone. Hats off to Carson Steele. Of course, 59 touchdowns on the season and plenty more to come this season.
14-0, Trojans out quickly on the Ben Davis Giants in the first quarter. We're going to send it down to our end zone reporter, Carly.
There was a great play from Taven Jackson, handing it off to Carson Steele, where he breaks through the Ben Davis defense, taking it in for a Center Grove touchdown. But like we said at the beginning, Carson Steele has an opportunity to break the school record for the most touchdowns.
Thank you, Carly. And the MIG Network would like to welcome back Papa John's as a partner in bringing you the best high school sports coverage in Central Indiana. The Papa John's team is ready to cover your hunger at over 30 area locations. When you're ready for better pizza, make sure you order Papa John's. Just go to papajohns.com. 14-0. Center Grove scoring early, and both of those scores set up by interceptions, one from Dane Young and one from Trey Clark.
Again, Ben Davis finding themselves in an adverse position right here, already down by 2 scores, and we're just barely past the halfway point of this first quarter. Still a lot of time, Logan, but if you're Ben Davis, this early deficit essentially rules out the running game. And a guy that we were hoping to be talking more about tonight, Brandon Fuentes, had a really good game last week. Looks like if this score holds serve for Center Grove, we're not going to see as much of the running game, and that, in essence, takes out Fuentes as a key cog of this Ben Davis offense.
Watson sending that for another touchback. Par for the course for him. And I agree with you, Josh. We've yet to see Brandon Fuentes really make his mark on this game. He hasn't really had the opportunity. It's been quick hits here and there on senior night for the Ben Davis Giants. But Coach Simmons and these guys are going to have to find a way to get some points on the board.
I would look out for a couple of quick hitters. You did see 1 or 2 on the first drive for Ben Davis. Just get Juwan Swanson. If you're Juwan Swanson, you got to have a short memory. Get those last 2 interceptions out of your head. Hit a couple of quick hitters. Get your rhythm. Get your timing back. Hopefully improve that confidence as the game goes on.
And there's a handoff to Fuentes. Right up the gut. Gain of a couple before being brought down there by Mitchell Evans. Looks like it was first 2 for the Trojans.
That time it's a draw up the middle towards that B gap. Fuentes running into the teeth of that defense, and as we talked about, it is going to be tough sledding for Ben Davis going against that fearsome foursome of Center Grove on the defensive line.
Fuentes in motion out to the right. Quick screen to him, trying to get him an open space. Not much working as he works his way to the 20-yard line. Going to lose a couple of yards, and the Trojans just swarming him defensively.
And for the fans at home watching, that's a main staple of Jason Simmons' playbook. Anytime you see the tailback going out in motion, I would say 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a screen out into the flat. This time, Center Grove read it well and was able to pressure those receivers that were acting as blockers and getting Fuentes knocked down in the backfield.
That was Matt Souterdall really making the impact on the outside for the Trojans. 3rd and 10, and there's a jump from Austin Booker, another one, as Ben Davis going to walk forward 5 yards. Offsides call on the Trojans.
And it certainly makes 3rd down a lot more manageable. You were in a 3rd and long situation, obvious passing down. Now it's 3rd and 5, still likely a passing situation, but now it opens up the playbook a little more for Jason Simmons and this Ben Davis offense.
Under 5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. Trojans up 14-0 over the Ben Davis Giants. Swanson looking, quick hit to Peters. Makes one man miss, looking to get to the edge and reaches. But it looks like it's going to be about a yard shy of the first down marker. You saw Trey Clark, Dane Young all coming in, really doing a nice job gang tackling for the Trojans.
If you're Jason Simmons here, already down by 2 scores, I wouldn't think twice about going for it. Even though you're still deep in your own side of the field, need to give the offense and this team some spark of life. And you still see Juwan Swanson out on the field. He does act as the punter, however, so perhaps we may see a squib kick or something, but looks like the offense is lining up to go for it.
5 seconds here on the play clock. Man in motion. Swanson keeps it himself, looks to the edge, gets there, but a flag in the backfield. Look like going to be a holding call as James Schott was reaching out and got dragged down. It looked like they're on the offensive line by Sidibe.
It was a good look for Ben Davis. They brought Ramel Williams, the defensive tackle, in as an H-back. A couple of times they've done that this season. Sort of like that jumbo package, but now with the hold negating that first down run, now Jason Simmons is electing to send that punting unit out.
And a nice job there from James Schott, really setting the edge and forcing that hold call as well.
It really does. When you're a defensive line and you're working against that reach block, I mean, that as a defensive line, you're always coached to fight against that reach block and be able to beat that offensive lineman to the spot. If you can, that makes the job a lot easier, especially for the linebackers trying to come down from that second level and make the tackle.
After the holding call, going to move it back to 4th and 10. Swanson back to punt, averaging about 27 yards a punt. He likes to keep it low here. And shooting one out. Going to take a hop. Going to be fielded now by Mitchell Evans. Evans with a hole. Breaks one tackle. Makes a man miss. Working back to the middle of the field and dragged down right at the 31-yard line. Myron Green saving a touchdown there on the special teams for the Giants as the Trojans are off to a hot start.
When it rains, it pours, Logan. That time we are seeing Center Grove pour it on the special teams. Often an aspect of the game that you cannot ignore. And Mitchell Evans, we have seen what he can do as a tailback last year. This time being moved over as a defensive back this year, and now as the return man getting it done for special teams.
Handoff steal. Right up the middle, finally going to be brought down by a pair of Giants for a gain of a couple. First 2 was George for Ben Davis.
And can we just take a moment just to notice the field possession, or the field position game for Ben Davis and Center Grove. Center Grove, for all but 2 plays, their offense has been on the Ben Davis side of the field. Ben Davis has yet to even reach or even come close to midfield.
Jackson again out of the shotgun, under 3 minutes to go in the first quarter. Jackson, left side, looking for Trent Veith. Breaks the tackle and jumps his way down to the 10-yard line. First and goal for the Trojans. And Neil Boatwright making the touchdown-saving tackle.
And here's a guy, Trent Veith, who was another security blanket for Taven Jackson last year. He's had a bit of a quiet start to the season, only 3 catches for 28 yards. This time, however, he gets that catch and run for 18 yards. And once again, Center Grove setting up shop in the Ben Davis red zone.
Steele and Weems both in the backfield. Handoff to Steele. Bobbing and weaving, spinning his way down to the 5-yard line. And finally, he's brought down by Toomer for Ben Davis.
At this point, that Ben Davis defense has to be gassed. You've got to think about not just the position war, but also the time of possession. I mean, Ben Davis, they have only had a handful of plays. Off the top of my head, 10 plays total in this first quarter. And you've got to at least double that for Center Grove.
Jackson, play action, looking right side. One man to me, and he's going to be sacked down at the 10-yard line. And a flag coming out on the play. That was Toomer coming up with the sack.
Not exactly sure what the flag is for, Logan, but what a great stop by Kyoke Toomer. He's only a junior, got some varsity experience last year, and he's definitely a cornerstone for this Giants defense.
And it looks like going to be a defensive holding call on the Giants in the secondary. So scratch that sack. It's going to be the Trojans moving forward.
Second time, Logan, when Ben Davis has actually made a play that it's just been negated by a penalty. And we've seen this all too often from, at least in the early part of the year for Ben Davis. Now, of course, when we saw Ben Davis last year, they were able to flip a switch towards the second half of the season, but this is more or less like what they looked like towards their first 2 weeks when they took on Brownsburg and Avon.
Absolutely, this defense having a tough time slowing down the Trojans. This ball going to be on the 5-yard line after the holding call. Second down, nearing 1 minute to play in the first quarter, and it has been all Center Grove. Jackson now under center. Handoff to Weems, using Steele as a fullback, and Weems, they're going to mark him just shy down at the 1-yard line. Going to bring up 3rd and goal.
Another one of Eric Moore's staple plays, running belly action this time with Daniel Weems, right up the A-gap. And you mentioned it too, Logan. Carson Steele acting as a fullback. Another aspect that he can bring to his game, just setting the tone and being that lead blocker sometimes for his teammates like Daniel Weems.
Here comes Jacob Newland into the game for Center Grove. Going big, handoff, Carson Steele, and there's 6 more for the Warhorse. Carson Steele getting it done with 34 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Carson Steele from 1 yard out.
I don't think many people expected Carson Steele. Well, I take that back. I think a lot of people expected Carson Steele to run all over this defense today. I don't think a lot of people expected a hat trick in this game, let alone in the first quarter.
And again, Watson out for the extra point. Has yet to miss one this year and stays true to that. So 21-0, Trojans coming into Giants Stadium and having their way so far. We're going to send it down to our end zone reporter, Carly.
Yes, there is a lot of tension down here on the field between both teams, yet it's still a lot of great energy. It was a great handoff from Taven Jackson to Carson Steele, with him landing in the end zone for them to get a 3rd touchdown.
Thank you, Carly. And once again, if you're looking for custom designed apparel for your organization or company, you'll win every time when you team up with the folks at Brand Visions. No order is too small or too large, so before you pay too much, get a quote from Brand Visions. Contact them at brandvisionsllc.com. So 21-0, Trojans out quickly on the Ben Davis Giants. This one has all the makings of a blowout, Josh, if the Giants do not get some points on the board here, or at least extend a drive into Trojan territory.
Well, I sure hope for our sake that, and for entertainment purposes, that we at least see Ben Davis try to match this energy that Center Grove has come out with. And again, we talked about earlier the fast start that Center Grove has had, not just in this game, but just in the season overall. You look the last couple of years that Center Grove has started the season either 1-2, 2-1, or 2-2, but this time Center Grove wasting no time to get themselves into mid-season form. They look like they are well on their way to starting the season 4-0.
Well, how about Dalen Carnell there, just really having to climb a ladder to grab that ball before it went into the end zone, and just gets shot out of a cannon, gets all the way up to the 25-yard line, was one broken tackle away from taking this thing far for the Ben Davis Giants. Obviously the Missouri commit, one of the big-time guys for Ben Davis.
Yeah, and we talked to Dalen Carnell this week on our Instagram Live series, mic'd up. Carnell, of course, a pleasure to talk to, and he's really excited. Going to be actually enrolling early at Missouri. This will be his final semester at Ben Davis.
And nowhere to go there for Swanson, tackled by Trey Clark right at the line of scrimmage. And tell you what, this offense could maybe use a dose of Dalen Carnell in it.
And we've seen Carnell work on both sides of the field. Not as much this year. Jason Simmons electing to roll out with some of the other folks like Ryland Richardson, as you see at the bottom of your screen, and Donnell Mason. But perhaps, like you said, just to provide a little bit of a spark on this offense, Dalen Carnell could be coming in more on this offense.
Well, there's 1 quarter of action here at Ben Davis High School. The Trojans on top 21-0 over the Ben Davis Giants as we will get ready for the second quarter of action. You're watching the MIC Network Game of the Week.
Tom Wood's lifetime powertrain coverage includes the 4 most important systems in your vehicle for unlimited miles and unlimited time at no cost to you. Protection from expensive repairs for a lifetime. Find the car you want the way you want at tomwood.com.
A lot of great energy down here on the field between both teams. Center Grove has 21 right now, and Ben Davis is unfortunately at 0, but there still is a great game ahead. All the teams have a lot of great energy, and they're still fighting hard against each other.
Once again, 21-0 Trojans out early on the Ben Davis Giants, as the Giants are looking at a 2nd and 11 from the 24-yard line and just have not gotten much going offensively. It seems like they have more Trojans have more penalty yards than the Giants have offensive yards.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, only 1 first down on the day for Ben Davis, and that was by virtue of a penalty on their first drive. We'll see if Juwan Swanson can shake off these early hiccups, maybe get some momentum going for this Giants offense.
Swanson, left side, finds his man right on cue. Going to be close to a first down, as it looks like that was Donnell Mason, the junior.
Good catch for the junior, Donnell Mason. He got some reps towards the end of last season. And again, that just goes back to what I was saying. We need to see some more quick throws, quick timing routes, and get Juwan Swanson into a rhythm, hopefully build his confidence as this game rolls on.
3rd and short for Ben Davis. Looking to pick up their first true first down here.
Another jumbo package set. Watch Romel Williams made the play, is going to his side.
Ooh, false start there on the left side. Like Sidibe moved a little bit early there for Ben Davis. Saw that head pop up, so 5 yards back for the Giants.
It's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back with this team, at least tonight. Anytime Ben Davis has had a semblance of competitiveness, they've found a way to shoot themselves in the foot. Hopefully they'll be able to correct those issues as this game rolls on.
3rd and 7. 4 men on the line for the Trojans defensively.
Swanson looking left side, back to his right, throwing up one for Richardson. Has to come back to it, but makes the grab. Rylan Richardson coming down with it right at the 26-yard line. First down, Giants.
And there is the spark that Ben Davis needed. Juwan Swanson, it looked like he was just throwing up a wing and a prayer with defensive linemen swarming all over him. But Rylan Richardson beats the defenders, comes away with a great grab, and Ben Davis finally comes away with their first down of the night.
What a grab there from Richardson. Had Soderdahl and Evans, the safety, beat on the play. And if that ball was thrown any further out there, Richardson might have been walking in for 6.
You got to remember, Richardson had a breakout game last week, over 160 yards receiving.
And Swanson looking long. This one for Dylan Moore, but out at the back of the end zone. Looked like Moore and Swanson not quite on the same page.
That's okay on first down. Swanson wanting to test that secondary once again. And that's an aspect that Juwan Swanson can bring to this offense. You and I, we both saw Trent Gibson as the quarterback for the last 2 years for Ben Davis. He was more effective as a runner and on quick throws than he was testing a secondary vertically. Juwan Swanson, he does bring that aspect to this team, and hopefully we'll see more as he continues to grow as a signal caller.
Swanson again finding his man Mason on the slant route right at the 10-yard line. And they're going to move the sticks. First down, Ben Davis from the 15.
It's the same play as what we saw a few plays ago, a simple slant route by Donnell Mason, finding the soft spot in that Center Grove zone, and first down once again for Ben Davis. We saw Center Grove pitch a shutout for 2 weeks in a row. Does that shutout streak end tonight, Logan?
The Giants creeping in to Trojan territory. Quick find to Peters, makes one man miss, jukes his way forward down at the 13. And it looked like that was Holt flying by as Peters, the crafty senior, making men miss.
And Peters again looking to be a more reliable target this season. He watched his older brother, Chris Peters, become one of the reliable targets last season for Ben Davis. Hopefully Rob will be able to replicate his older brother's success in his final season.
Second down, 6 yards to go. 3 receivers top side. Fuentes in motion. Swanson keeps it himself, puts his head down, and maybe gets back to the line of scrimmage. Clark right there on the tackle, along with Schott.
Center Grove not fooled. That was a designed quarterback run, running away from the strength of that offense towards the right side of that offensive line. If you look at how the offensive line for Ben Davis arranges themselves, they don't go by the traditional left tackle, left guard, right tackle. They go by strong side and quick side. You see big 79, Mady Sidibe lined up as the quick tackle. And watch the motion again, is another quick throw.
And it is to Mason as he loses the ball. Picked up outside by Fuentes down at the 10-yard line. So they're calling that, it looks like now they're calling it incomplete on the play. Official judge coming up calling it incomplete, and that was going to be a tough play for the Giants. You see right there, Mason has it, and it's knocked right out by Clark.
Either way, good heads-up play by Fuentes, not taking anything to chance. And we'll see what Jason Simmons elects to do. In this case, you're down by 21 already. I would keep the offense out there. You need to get to the 6-yard line for a first down. And it looks like that's what the offense is going to do. They are going to go for it.
4th and 6. Swanson under duress throws one up and through the hands of Richardson, incomplete. And that's going to be a turnover on downs as the shutout is still intact for Center Grove.
Not a bad look for Swanson. He looked towards Richardson. Again, having a breakout game last week. This time the ball was a little bit out of touch. And he could have had a miraculous grab. Even then, looked like Matt Holt was there, or rather Matt Soderdahl, excuse me, was there to make the stop if Richardson was able to come down with the catch.
First and 10, ball on the 12-yard line for this Trojan offense, and this is the worst starting field position they've had all game.
Yeah, that's a good point, Logan. This is only the second time that Center Grove has started a drive on their side of the field. Even then, they were on their own 45-yard line. We'll see what this offense can do when they actually have to drive a much longer length of the field, excuse me.
Handoff steal, brought down right at the line of scrimmage. Nowhere to go as Latarian Golden right there.
Good stop by Latarian Golden. The first time we've called his name tonight. A 6'3", 200-pound senior. And, you know, with this Ben Davis defense, they've got a lot of athletes on that side of the ball. That's why you mainly see them line up in a 3-3 stack. But the idea with this defense is speed, 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 and able to get these rushers to the ground as fast as possible.
Jackson rolling right side, quick find to Veit, and he's down to the 20-yard line. Going to be tackled by Marks.
That's a good look for Taven Jackson, excuse me. I wasn't exactly sure where he was going on that play, but a good job finding his security blanket, Trent Veit, in that soft spot in the zone, setting up a very manageable third down.
3rd and 2 with 7 minutes remaining in this second quarter.
Watch blitz here from Ben Davis. They have 5 on the line.
Handoff steal up the gut. Breaks some arm tackles. Carson Steele past midfield. Dalen Carnell to beat. And stiff arm not going to work as Carnell shoves Carson Steele out of bounds just past the 20-yard line. But a huge rush for the Warhorse, Carson Steele.
Just when it looks like Ben Davis might have a shot at bottling up Center Grove, the Warhorse has other plans in mind, this time ripping it off to the other side of the field. And again, the Warhorse, what more can he do? Already a spectacular career for Center Grove.
Goodness, breaking off close to a 50-yard run there as Jackson inside the red zone. Handoff Weems, right side, and he's going to finally tumble forward inside the 10 as Reese Hardesty got the tackle. 2nd and 2, nearing 6 minutes to play as Carson Steele coming back into the ballgame, already with 3 touchdowns. I think he's going for Johnny Zwitt's record of over 4,600 yards in a career.
I think so too. I mean, after that 50-plus yard run, he's well within striking distance of getting that milestone tonight.
Outside, rolling in down at the 1-yard line there was Lucas Hoffman for the Trojans. And using Carson Steele as maybe a decoy there.
Just when you think, if you're Ben Davis, there's so many weapons on this Center Grove offense. You pinpoint on one for too long, Center Grove is going to burn you with another weapon of their own. You pinpoint on Carson Steele for too long, they can easily hand it off to Daniel Weems. Or, in this case, hand it off to Lucas Hoffman, one of the underutilized tailbacks, and he'll burn you all the way down to the 1-yard line.
Jackson under center. The handoff was to Hoffman, but going to be, looks like, an encroachment call on the Ben Davis Giants. They got the jump. So not going to do too much, really, for the Trojans. They're already on the 1-yard line. So they move the ball forward maybe about an inch.
As if Center Grove needed any extra assist getting it into the end zone.
Jackson, handoff Weems as he walks right in, but a flag again. And again, it's going to go against the Giants, or they got an early jump. And it seems almost like delaying the inevitable here, Josh.
Essentially, I mean,
that ball cannot get much closer.
It really can't. I mean, Ben Davis, they're just trying to time the snap count. typically for Center Grove, they like to go on one, at least talking to some other Center Grove players, but that time, I'm guessing Taven Jackson going with more of a hard count, trying to get the Giants to jump off sides those last couple of plays.
Real danger here of making it a 4-score game. Hear that Giants defense as the Trojans just walking down the field. And 1 yard out. We've seen them go to Weems and Hoffman. So now Jackson going to go under center. This one pushed right in as Taven Jackson. No official word yet, but looks like he's going to be in for 6 as we're waiting for the official word here.
Touchdown.
And there it is. There's the touchdown for Taven Jackson from 1 yard out once they got to the bottom of the pile.
His first rushing touchdown of the season, Taven Jackson telling the offense, telling Carson Steele specifically, okay, you've parted in the end zone 3 times already today. Share some love for the rest of this squad, okay? And I'm sure Carson Steele was more than happy to oblige.
How about that? For how prolific of a runner Taven Jackson is, first rushing touchdown of the season. Shows how many weapons this Trojans offense has.
And that's exactly why Taven Jackson is getting FBS looks. I know he's got some offers locally here at Ball State, Indiana, I don't think Purdue, but as well as some other out-of-state looks, Cincinnati, Rutgers, I mean, you name it. Taven Jackson, I should say, is going to have plenty of options to pick from when it comes time to make his final decision for college football.
Well, the extra point good from Watson, 28-0. Center Grove on top of the Ben Davis Giants, as we're going to send it to our other end zone reporter, Will Matchett. The secret is out about one of Indianapolis' best hotel choices. The Marriott East team will make sure you are safe and secure during your stay. With amenities like the Skylight Bistro and the Business Center, everything you need is right there on site. And at the Marriott East, a great stay doesn't have to cost a great deal of money. The next time you need a hotel room or a safe place to hold your meeting, contact the folks at the Marriott East, located just off of Shadeland on 21st Street in Indianapolis. 28-0. Trojans pitching another shutout. I posed this question on a podcast that I do during the week with Kyle Nedenrip, Josh Ayen, about a team that has shut out the Carmel Greyhounds, the Warren Central Warriors, and the Ben Davis Giants. Has it ever happened? And we went through every record book, every yearbook you could imagine, and have yet to find any team that does it. I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but none of the record books that I have found have shown that.
We could probably put it unofficially in the history of the MIC that this feat has never been accomplished. Maybe Center Grove could be the first to do so in this conference. But what an accomplishment that would be. You think about the history of this MIC since 1996. You've got the Big Four, including these 2 teams you see on the field, Ben Davis, Center Grove, Warren Central, and Carmel. For one team to shut out one of them is a tall task in itself. For a team to do it to 3 of the 4, that is indescribable.
And to do it in back-to-back weeks so far, the Giants still have some time on the clock to turn this game around as they trail 28-0. Swanson back out on the field. And going to be a handoff to Fuentes. Misdirection there, spinning down at the 30-yard line. Now it looks like gets about back to the line of scrimmage.
Fuentes had a little bit of a hole, but just bumped into that wall of a Center Grove defensive line. Again, we've mentioned them time and time again tonight, but just how talented this group is. We can talk all night about Austin Booker and Caden Curry, but we've mentioned James Schott, what he can do as well.
Quick screen outside. Mason getting into open space. Just shy of the 40-yard line, but a first down for the Ben Davis Giants.
A much-needed first down for Ben Davis, hopefully getting some momentum. I mean, anything can happen. We still have a second half to come, but if Ben Davis can maybe scrounge up a score before the half, that can perhaps inspire some confidence for this young Giant squad.
Swanson keeps it himself, left side, barreling forward. Maybe down right at the 44-yard line. So a solid rush there from the quarterback. We know he has some legs to get moving. We just haven't seen him break a big one.
Yeah, we certainly know what Juwan Swanson can bring from a running perspective. He's run for 135 yards on the year. As we mentioned, he ran for 3 touchdowns on the ground against a very talented Pike defense. But it's one thing to go against Pike's defense and looking at how talented this Center Grove defense is, and so far Center Grove has been all over the junior quarterback.
Austin Booker coming up with a big tackle for loss there. Nowhere to go for Brady Simmons and the Ben Davis offense.
Great tackle by Austin Booker and good instincts as well, sniffing out that short pass. You just watch Austin Booker, you look at the frame that Booker has, 6'6", 245 pounds, but it's the wingspan. That's the biggest quality that comes to mind when you think of this defensive end.
Swanson, plenty of time here now, throwing one deep for Mason, and there's a flag on the play. As there were a couple Trojans in the area, as Mason, it's like a bit down on the play, losing his helmet.
And it looks like Mason is going to be okay, but a good job by Juwan Swanson. You watch on the replay right here, a little bit of an opening. I think if that ball was a little shorter, Mason could have had a better opportunity for it. Nonetheless, good job by Mason to at least draw the penalty, and hopefully he'll be getting up soon.
It's like he took a shot there from Mitchell Evans as well. As we're going to take a quick break here from Ben Davis High School, 28-0, Trojans on top.
Thank Colin Pop Jones. Cumberland, this is Kyle speaking.
They scored touchdowns here. You gotta be able to get these guys off the field to get the game. Nice punt. Yeah.
Tom Wood's lifetime powertrain coverage includes the 4 most important systems in your vehicle for unlimited miles and unlimited time at no cost to you. Protection from expensive repairs for a lifetime. Find the car you want the way you want at tomwood.com.
Well, great sight to see there. Daniel Mason walking off under his own power with the trainers. What was a pass interference call there, as Ben Davis now on the Trojan side of the field at the 46. Swanson looking left side, able to find Dylan Moore just shy of the 40-yard line. So the Giants now finding a little bit of rhythm offensively.
Certainly, Logan, and the second time that Ben Davis, has found their way onto the Center Grove side of the field. Last time it rounded up in a turnover on downs. Hopefully they'll be able to finish things off on this possession.
Swanson out of the shotgun here. Look again, left side, same play, but batted down at the line. And that was number 32, James Schott for the Trojans.
Once again, calling James Schott's name, the younger brother of Jackson Schott, the outside linebacker. Again, we talked about Austin Booker's wingspan, but look at James Schott and the wingspan that he brought to be able to bat down that pass at the line of scrimmage. This Center Grove defensive line is just all too talented.
3rd and 6. We're slowly creeping to 2 minutes remaining in the half. Swanson rolling right side off his back foot. Able to find his man close to the 30-yard line. Rylan Richardson again coming up big.
Again, great catch by the senior. And this is exactly what Jason Simmons was talking about. You can't wait for the big plays to happen. You have got to go and make them. Rylan Richardson has been the definition of this, coming up with big plays throughout the course of the last 2 weeks.
Ball on the 31-yard line. Swanson looking left side, has it blocked from behind. Caden Curry comes in, and they're going to call it incomplete. Incomplete as Caden Curry shot in there.
Only a matter of time before we called Curry's name tonight. He gave Swanson a licking. And it looks like we've got a timeout on the field. Ben Davis.
Timeout, Ben Davis. 1:34 remaining in the second quarter. As Josh, I know you have some scores from around the MIC and some other teams that are in action.
Probably the biggest one that other fans around the MIC are keeping an eye on. North Central and Lawrence North, a battle of top fives. North Central taking care of business at the end of the first. It is 21-7 North Central. I know the Panthers scored very recently on a Deshaun Hunter punt return touchdown. Another score heading up to the north side with Carmel leading Pike 14-7 midway through the second quarter. And finally, Warren Central, after being shut out their first 2 weeks of the season, finally have some points on the board. They lead Lawrence Central 20-0 early second quarter.
So a couple interesting scores there from around the MIC. This one getting a little bit out of hand, but the Giants are rolling down into Trojan territory, and they need some points on the board. It is vital to get some momentum heading into halftime.
And what's important for Ben Davis, too, of course, get the points, but with 1:34 to go, you're on the Center Grove 32-yard line. Plenty of time to make a score here, but make sure if you do score, don't leave enough time for the Center Grove offense. We know exactly how dangerous they are. Just look at the 28 points that they've put up in a relative easy fashion in the first half.
Well, the MIC Network is happy to bring you some of the best high school sports action anywhere. As our 6th year of showcasing athletes, teams, and programs from the best conference. And this year, we have a great schedule of games. Make sure to check out our website and social media platforms to stay up to date on any changes. And remember, the best action and best coverage is on the MIC Network. 2nd and 10, ball on the 31-yard line. Swanson looking left side, takes it himself. And there is absolutely nowhere to go. Again, Schott getting in on the play.
That might have been Austin Booker on the stop, but remember what I mentioned in the first quarter, Logan, about defensive linemen reaching, or rather beating the reach block. That time, Austin Booker coming in, setting the edge, forcing or making it nowhere to go for Juwan Swanson to run, bringing him down for no gain.
Under a minute to play in the first half. Swanson looking right side. And it's going to be caught. Wiley into open space. Tumbling down inside the 10-yard line. 1st and goal for the Giants.
That's a great catch by Devin Wiley. Only 3 catches on the season, but by far his best one, as he's got the Giants into the red zone for the 2nd time this series, or this half.
Giants still with a pair of timeouts. Clock running. 1st and goal. Ball on the 6. Swanson play action. Rolling right side, back to the left on the wheel route, and it is intercepted. Interception. Great defense there from Matt Siderdahl. Coming up with the INT, his 2nd on the season, and the shutout is still alive.
Somebody's been doing their film homework because Matt Soderdahl read that play beautifully. Ben Davis ran that exact same play with Juwan Swanson running out of the gun right side and stopping, looking towards the back side of the field. They ran that exact same play against Pike. It resulted in 6. This time, Matt Soderdahl read that play perfectly and came up with the INT.
28-0. The Trojans absolutely having their way here at Ben Davis High School. And it looks like Taven Jackson going to take a knee and head into halftime with a very pretty 4-score lead as the #1 team in the state, definitely looking the part and taking care of business here early. It's going to be a large amount to come back from if you're Ben Davis.
It really is, and we saw some signs of life from this Ben Davis offense. Remember what we've talked about throughout the course of this game. If you're Ben Davis and you're out on that field, you got to represent that giant name with pride. You got to go out and make the plays yourself. You can't let them come to you. Guys like Devin Wiley, Rylan Richardson were able to make some of those plays towards the end of the half. We need to see more of them. We need to see more plays like that, and especially from the guys that we have been talking about throughout the course of this game. Dylan Moore, Donnell Mason, Rob Peters, and especially on the defensive side as well.
All Trojans at halftime up 28-0 over the Ben Davis Giants. We're going to take a break here on your MIC Network Game of the Week.
Thank Colin Pop Jones. Cumberland, this is Kyle speaking.
The pizza's here.
Tom Wood's lifetime powertrain coverage includes the 4 most important systems in your vehicle for unlimited miles and unlimited time at no cost to you. Protection from expensive repairs for a lifetime. Find the car you want the way you want at tomwood.com. At Tom Wood, we believe you can't put a price on peace of mind, so we don't. With Tom Wood's lifetime powertrain coverage, you're protected for unlimited miles and unlimited time, all at no cost to you. Find the car you want the way you want at tomwood.com.
Thank Colin Pop Jones. Cumberland, this is Kyle speaking.
cheese. My favorite. I love plain.
Is that Supreme?
Good.
Chicken.
I really like it.
Network name of the week. Just a they scored touchdowns here. You gotta be able to get these guys off the field to get the game. Nice punt. Yeah.
The MIC Network Game of the Week is a proud product of Frontrunner Media's Next Generation initiative. Thanks to Frontrunner, the MIC Network Game of the Week allows students around the MIC to get hands-on experience while working alongside media professionals. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by the hardworking students that make it possible. The MIC Network, led by students, powered by champions.
Welcome back inside Ben Davis Stadium. Score here, 28-0. Center Grove on top of the Giants. And this one going, it almost feels like according to plan for the Trojans. Everything has gone their way. A couple interceptions, a whole lot of Carson Steele as well. He's capped off a couple milestones of his own already.
He really has 3 rushing touchdowns on the day. The new career rushing touchdown leader in Center Grove history, eclipsing Johnny Zwitt. And it looks like he is on his way to eclipsing the career rushing yards record as well. No, he broke off a couple of big yards. As soon as the official stats come in, he'll most likely break that 173-yard mark that he needs to get today.
Absolutely, and right now we saw Ben Davis have a couple of drives that were working into Trojan territory, but then a stiff defense from the Trojans were able to stop, and that was one of them right there in the opening drive, an interception for Trey Clark. We've seen 3 interceptions already from that Trojan defense. Give a lot of credit to Carson Steele, but that defense is putting the offense in very good situations.
And a big part of that defense is their defensive line. You saw James Schott on that, forcing that first interception. Dane Young coming away with a second interception. Again, a lot of pressure on that play. Forced Jawan Swanson to throw essentially a 50-50 ball. And almost every time, Center Grove has been in great field position. Not like they needed it to begin with, but when they're in position, they were able to capitalize. Ben Davis is reeling right now, down 4 scores.
Absolutely, and this play right here, we see Swanson looking deep, throwing it up long, and this was, again, an interception from Dane Young. It was a 50-50 ball that the Trojans came up with when they needed it, and then give me some more Carson Steele, right? Stays on his feet, keeps those legs moving, barreling in for the score, and add one more to that. 3 rushing touchdowns all in the first quarter. Carson Steele has been a man on a mission, and you wonder if a little bit of that comes from not being able to play at the beginning of last year as well.
It really does, and I had a chance to talk with Carson Steele on our Instagram Live series, mic'd up, and, Steele was definitely very reflective of what he learned last season, and that really applies to just everybody in the state of Indiana right now, just not taking things for granted. Mm-hmm. Of course, you and I have talked about, just being fortunate here to call a football game on Friday night, and this season, it's not a given. Every day is not a given in this football season. Yep. Carson Steele has taken that lesson to heart, and you see why as he has 3 touchdowns on the evening already.
Absolutely, and we're going to take a quick break here from Ben Davis Stadium. Once again, 28-0 Trojans on top. We'll be back with more halftime action here on the MIC Network Game of the Week.
Tom Wood's lifetime powertrain coverage includes the 4 most important systems in your vehicle.
Yes, sir.
For unlimited miles and unlimited time at no cost to you. Protection from expensive repairs for a lifetime. Find the car you want the way you want at tomwood.com.
I'm back here on your Big Network Game of the Week, as I'm joined with President of Frontrunner Media, Mr. Gary Naylor. And Gary, a lot of people maybe not know exactly what Frontrunner Media is and how it incorporates with the MIC Network. So what is that?
Great, Logan. Frontrunner Media, first of all, we're a full-service media production company, and the whole idea around Frontrunner and the interaction with the MIC Network was really to create an opportunity to not only give young people an opportunity to hone their skills or get better and prepared for careers, but also we want to be a place where we can actually showcase student athletes within the MIC conference. So we've been a part of this for 5 to 6 years, producing games. We couldn't do it without some of our sponsors like Papa John's, Tom Wood Group, and the Marriott East. But again, our whole purpose is to find a way to help young people prepare themselves for careers in life.
Now, you mentioned it, Frontrunner Media has been in with the MIC Network since day one. Why is that?
Well, because first of all, we believe that high school sports happens to be the media for the community to be able to support the schools. In some cases, it becomes the entertainment for communities. So we want to make sure that we're developing a good product that the community can be proud of, and also just the awesome football that's played in the MIC Conference.
Yep. Now, you talked a little bit about the MIC Network and what all Frontrunner does with that, but what else does Frontrunner Media do? You mentioned it was a full-service media production company.
Absolutely. Frontrunner Media, again, we're a full-service media production company. We work with companies throughout Indianapolis and fortunately outside of Indianapolis. And what we do media production, we do promotions, we do advertisement, we do some branding. Also, with the whole situation with the COVID-19, we've been very involved with allowing companies to stay connected with not only their employees, but also with their client base through virtual productions. We've done a lot of live streaming events for not only the companies like the Department of Workforce Development, but other companies throughout Indiana.
So it seems like there's a lot of other things going on with Frontrunner Media, especially in this time where virtual is the key. Now, going back to the MIC Network and Frontrunner Media, enabling the next generation coming through with the students, who are some students that have come through that maybe have now moved on to professional careers?
Absolutely. Well, we've had over 60 young participants who've actually gone on to start careers, but a few of them, such as Colton Howard, Peter Hood, who are now up in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and also J.D. Arlen, who is also another individual who's come to our program, who is now working up in Lafayette, Indiana.
Wow, so a couple people have already gone through. You mentioned over 60 as well coming through it all. That's pretty impressive for the MIC Network and Frontrunner Media.
Absolutely.
That's pretty impressive. So, once again, Gary Naylor, the president of Frontrunner Media, we want to thank you for all you do here for the MIC Network as well, and the Frontrunner Media allowing the MIC Network to be put on as well.
It's a pleasure, Logan.
Absolutely. So when we come back, we'll have more football action for you Friday night. MIC Network Game of the Week, Trojans and Giants coming up next.
The MIC Network Game of the Week is a proud product of Frontrunner Media's Next Generation initiative. Thanks to Frontrunner, the MIC Network Game of the Week allows students around the MIC to get hands-on experience while working alongside media professionals. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by the hardworking students that make it possible. The MIC Network, led by students, powered by champions.
Tom Wood's lifetime powertrain coverage includes the 4 most important systems in your vehicle for unlimited miles and unlimited time at no cost to you. Protection from expensive repairs for a lifetime. Find the car you want the way you want at tomwood.com.
Game of the Week, 28-0. Center Grove on top of the Ben Davis Giants. And this one, I'm Logan Hunt, alongside joined by Josh Ain. We've heard from Carly Wagner and Will Matchett down on the sideline as well, as we just had the president of Frontrunner Media, Gary Naylor, on as well. So we've had a full crowd coming through here, and it's been an exciting game with Center Grove really showing why they are the #1 team in the state.
Really, it starts and ends with Carson Steele, but as we mentioned, he's had a bunch of supporters to help him along the way. Daniel Weems, Taven Jackson, who scored already once in the end zone today, not to mention a killer defense who has made life very difficult for Juwan Swanson and this Ben Davis offense.
Absolutely. You mentioned Carson Steele, and someone that had a close-up look at him was Will Matchett down on the sideline. We're going to hear from Will now.
Guys, what a first half for the Center Grove Trojans. Just tearing up on offense. And the Ben Davis defense just has no idea what to do. They are lost out there. Look for them to get the defense going and get better out there. And for the offense, for the Trojans, look for the man Carson Steele, the man of steel. Has it going in that first half. Look for him to get the ball some more in the second half. What a game we have so far. The Trojans running away with it, but a game is never over until the clock stops running, so we'll see what the second half has in store for us. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Will, and I think he said it best. The game's never over until that clock stops running, and we saw the Giants put together a couple successful drives there at the end. They just ended in an interception. We saw it end in some penalties, but there was still a spark there from the Giants.
There really was, and we've talked about needing other guys to step up. We saw Ryland Richardson. We saw some other role players who have not necessarily been the stars on this team trying to step up and make plays for this Ben Davis team. It's going to take a collective effort for this Giants team if they're going to come out, well, let alone if they're going to make this a competitive game, let alone make this a competitive season throughout the rest of this season.
Absolutely, and we're talking about two of the top programs in the state of Indiana with Ben Davis and Center Grove. This is a game that usually always delivers a little bit of a grudge match from last year's semi-state game. And we've talked to Coach Simmons before this game. He said, you know, this team looks a lot different. We have some of our starters back, but offensively we have some new guys, figuring out where to work in some of the others. And this is a game where it feels like you have a couple of new guys that just are trying to get their feet wet still and playing high school football. And a lot of that has come because of, obviously, the climate we're in with the pandemic and a lot of teams not getting the proper time they needed during the off season to really train and learn some new things. And that's why we've seen Center Grove be so efficient with their offense and defense. They have so many returners.
And that was something that I know Coach Eric Moore was really adamant about, trying to make sure a season was happening this year. And a large part of that was because of how he knew the talent coming back on this year's team after a state finals appearance at Lucas Oil Stadium last year. He knew this team was going to be determined to finish what they couldn't last year. Meanwhile, for Ben Davis, I mean, Jason Simmons, he talked about, when we talked to him this week, he mentioned how the adverse circumstances of this offseason really put a damper on the overall development for Juwan Swanson and for the rest of this team. Specifically with Juwan Swanson, he's behind the eight ball a bit as far as his development. Typically, he would have about 2.5 months or so, not to mention the full offseason starting last November, to work with Coach Simmons and the rest of this offensive coaching staff to work on his progression as a quarterback. But, of course, the offseason was cut in half due to this COVID outbreak. Because of that, he's been trying to play catch-up. So Coach Simmons has really been trying to keep the playbook as tight and manageable as possible for the young quarterback.
Absolutely, and we're going to see what the Giants have left in the tank here in the second half when we return on your MIC Network Game of the Week.
The MIC Network Game of the Week is a proud product of Frontrunner Media's Next Generation initiative. Thanks to Frontrunner, the MIC Network Game of the Week allows students around the MIC to get hands-on experience while working alongside media professionals. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by the hardworking students that make it possible. The MIC Network, led by students, powered by champions.
Getting ready for kickoff here at Ben Davis High School, where the Giants trailed the Trojans 28-0 at halftime. I'm Logan Hunt, alongside I have Josh Ayen. As Reese Hardesty has the ball teed up on the 40-yard line. First time we've seen him in to kick, as the Trojans will receive to start the second half. Long boot here, and just drops into the end zone. A little bit of dangerous play there from Daniel Weems.
Yeah, Weems looked a little indecisive on that play. Luckily, the ball bounced into the end zone to take the matters out of Weems' hands.
So once again, the offense coming out onto the field. Taven Jackson, you talked about it a little bit, Josh, last year and into this year with Coach Moore saying, you know, we don't necessarily need Taven Jackson to go out there and win every game, but we just can't have him lose us a game. And so far this season, he has done just that.
Exactly. Just looking at Taven Jackson, he hasn't exactly lit up the stat sheet, but he's done all the right things, taking command of the offense, making sure guys are where they need to be. And when the play comes to him, he delivers when the moment deserves for him to take over.
Ball on the 24-yard line there. Opening rush from Weems. And again, Jackson going out of the shotgun. 3 men on the line for Ben Davis. Handoff steal left side. Cuts up field. Gets stood up. But still powers his way forward for a gain of a couple as Damon Howard Wilson got his hands on him.
My old defensive line coach always told us to be the hammer, not the nail. That time, Damian Harold Wilson, he tried his best to be the hammer. Carson Steele bringing some heat of his own as he went toe-to-toe with the 6'1" senior defensive lineman.
3rd and 4, a little bit of uncharted territory here for the Center Grove Trojans. Play action, Jackson rolling right, plenty of time, lofts one up in the air, and Delp laying out for it but couldn't come up with it. Incomplete, 4th down as the Giants defense holds.
That was not a bad throw by Jackson, a little bit over the head of Connor Delp, but honestly, I think Jackson, he could have scrambled for that himself. He had plenty of running room, at least enough to get the 1st down on the ground. That time that was more of that time it looked like Jackson was being a little more greedy on this 3rd down play.
As Delp had the step and nearly got his hands on it. Carnell standing at his own 40. Jackson the punter.
And here's a rare situation. Center Grove forced to punt. First time we've seen that today.
Jackson the typical punter, averaging about 43 yards a boot. And high snap, Jackson still comes up with it. Gets a good hit. Carnell fields it at the 40 and just nowhere to go. Tackled immediately at contact there. And so 1st down, Ben Davis at the 41-yard line. Looked like Mitchell Evans was first too for the Trojans.
Dangerous position for Carnell on that return. He had to scoop that up, it looked like. And right as he received that ball, within a second, contact was made. Good job by Carnell to hold on to that ball.
Well, the defense did their job for the Giants. An opening 3 and out. Great starting field position now for Ben Davis, who got some things rolling there at the end of the half.
And again, the role players starting to step up. Rylan Richardson, Devin Wiley having a big catch. Let's see if any of those other folks can step up, such as Rob Peters on this play.
And Peters made Evans miss before being shot down out of bounds there by Young. Gain of about 1 on the play.
Again, we're seeing a bunch of quick throws from Juwan Swanson just to try and get him in a rhythm. You got to remember, this is only the 3rd start in his varsity career. Still a lot of room to improve for the junior quarterback.
But has shown some tremendous flashes here, especially late in the 1st half.
Sorry, Logan, watch the blitz by number 3 for Center Grove.
And there's Peters making a couple man miss, gets to the outside. Peters gets a block and finally cut down inside the 35-yard line. Again, Evans coming up with the tackle.
A great 25-yard catch and run. By far best play of the night for Rob Peters. This time, getting it done with those yards after the catch. And that's a big staple of this Ben Davis offense, letting the receivers catch the ball and create the yards themselves with open space.
Peters coming alive in this 3rd quarter. Into Trojan territory again for the Giants.
And Ben Davis has been knocking the last couple of drives towards the end of the first half, but the biggest thing, can they finish?
Swanson looking right side, under pressure. Throwing to the corner, and it's caught by Richardson. First down, Ben Davis, right at the 20-yard line. Great job there from Swanson, just extending the play.
Good job, like you said, Logan, by Swanson, able to buy time as he rolls out of the pocket. Good job here by Rylan Richardson, too. He was in a similar position towards the end zone in the first half. This time, he beats his man Dane Young and comes up with a 15-yard catch.
1st and 10 from the 20-yard line for the Giants on their opening series of this second half. Swanson looking deep, has his man, and it's incomplete. What a defensive play there from Dane Young. Swatting it out of the hands there at the very end from Dylan Moore.
Well, we mentioned Dane Young on the last plays. He gave up that first down to Rylan Richardson. This time, Young earns his stripes, winning the one-on-one battle against Dylan Moore. Oh my goodness, what a great break up by the senior defensive back.
2nd and 10 now for Ben Davis.
And Young is the smallest DB, too, and listed at 5'9", 165 pounds. He's not afraid to go against some of those bigger-bodied receivers that Ben Davis has.
Swanson under pressure and going to be taken down for a sack on the play by James Schott.
About the 3rd or 4th time we've mentioned James Schott's name tonight. And what a job this young defensive end has done. Pretty much stealing the spotlight from the Power Conference guys in Austin Booker and Caden Curry.
Absolutely, he's had a phenomenal game for the Trojans, and a lot of times we see Curry and Booker extend those linemen so far, they break the pocket up, and then it's the other guys coming up with the plays.
Here's another 3rd down situation, another 3rd and long. How could Swanson respond?
And a timeout here from Coach Simmons at the last second for Ben Davis. So 8:54 remaining in the 3rd quarter. 28-0 Trojans with the lead. Crucial 3rd down here for the Giants.
And as we take this quick timeout, I want to read a couple of interesting stats about Ben Davis and potentially what's at stake. They're trying to avoid their first home shutout since 1983. That was a home loss to Carmel, 7-0. And the last time that Ben Davis didn't score a touchdown at home was back in 2006 against Center Grove. If I'm reading this right, this looks like a baseball score more than a football score. A 4-3 win over the Trojans. Want to shout out John Easter over at WBDG Radio for digging up those stats. He and the WBDG crew do an excellent job. I know our friend Zion is over there on the opposite side of the field calling this game right now.
Well, great work over there from the Ben Davis radio station as well. They do a phenomenal job. Well, what car company gives you a choice of some of the best auto brands? It's the Tom Wood Automotive Group. With 12 brands including Honda, Ford, and Volvo, you are sure to find the car you are looking for. Find out how easy it is to buy your next car at tomwood.com, and let's drive with the team that drives high school sports.
Let's get some more mixed score updates. As we mentioned, North Central still leading Lawrence North 21-7. That's a great top 5 battle and really the first true challenge that Lawrence North has had all season. Meanwhile, Warren Central taking it to the Lawrence Central Bears 30-0. And last time I checked, Carmel leads 21-10 over Pike.
So again, never know what's going to happen in the MIC. Swanson looking left side, batted down at the line again. My goodness. That's a man that cannot be stopped in big number 91, Caden Curry.
That's exactly why Caden Curry is getting all these looks from some of the best college football programs in the country. Bit of an interesting move, seeing Eric Moore slide Curry from the defensive end spot to the 3 technique, but it's a great decision nonetheless. Curry can disrupt offensive linemen internally and really make things difficult for opposing quarterbacks.
Giants staying out on the field. 4th and 11. Ball on the 21-yard line. First down markers at the 10. Swanson looking deep again. And this one incomplete again. The defense from Dane Young all over Dylan Moore, as Moore is still down in the end zone. A little slow to get up for the Giants.
It looks like there was a little bit of jostling, but nonetheless, you see Brayton Spetter and Dane Young doing a great job bringing down that ball. Let's take a look at the replay right here. Was there contact as the ball was in the air? Tough to make out from that angle, but it still looked like a catchable ball for Dylan Moore nonetheless.
And that's the one-on-one matchup there that the Trojans have been winning, so a turnover on downs for the Giants after such a promising opening series results in no points on the board as the Trojans take over from the 21. They went 3 and out on their first series of the second half. Handoff, Weems, right side, has a hole. Bobbing and weaving past the 35 before finally being brought down by a pair of Giants.
An excellent run by Daniel Weems. He torched the Giants the last 2 times these two teams matched up, especially in the regular season contest. This time Weems with one of his better carries of the day, going off for 10 yards.
1st and 10 for Center Grove after a 15-yard rumble. Handoff, Steele punches it up the gut past the 40. He gets about 6 yards on the play.
You've just got to appreciate the way that Eric Moore is committed to running the football. And it's really going to pay dividends, especially come October and November. Logan, you and I talked about this in the pregame. What team is going to want to line up against Center Grove when the weather gets a little bit more chilly and running the football becomes even more imperative in a winner-go-home situation?
Jackson handoff to Weems again. Close to a first down, going to be down just shy of the 45-yard line. Looks like Toomer coming up with the tackle for the Giants. So slow and steady wins the race here for Center Grove. 3rd and short now.
Good stop by Kyoke Toomer, forcing another 3rd down situation. Center Grove was unable to convert on their last opportunity. But even then, they're still sitting comfortably with a 28-0 lead.
And we've seen the Trojans get back to kind of the meat and potatoes with Jackson getting under center, putting some guys in motion, and handing it off to their running backs. As Steele falls forward for a first down again. Dylan Moore with the tackle. Glad to see him back out on the field. Another guy that plays both ways, and I have a pair of those really on the defensive side for Coach Simmons.
Yeah, you mentioned Dylan Moore and Dalen Carnell, 2 of the primary guys that play both ways. Even Ramel Williams, comes in sometimes on jumbo package sets as the H-back. So a lot of versatility on this Giant squad.
Play action from Jackson, looking over the middle for Delp, and it's completed. First down at the 15-yard line. Connor Delp again coming up big for the Trojans.
Unbelievable play by Connor Delp. Really just an unsung hero of this Center Grove squad. Taven Jackson with an absolute dime over to Delp. Beats his man. And well done once again by the 5'11 senior.
Connor Delp has been the man all year long for the Trojans in that receiving game. See him go in motion, handoff, Steele, and now flag on the play. And it looks like an illegal procedure there on the Trojans. Had a couple guys moving.
Yeah, it looks like on the left side of the line was Sam Buras and Jordan Cox. Logan, have we talked a little bit about this offensive line for Center Grove? I mentioned, or I should have mentioned in our pregame chat, that Center Grove, if there was one aspect that was a bit of a question mark for me heading into the season, it was the offensive line. They graduated, I believe, all 5 of their starters, but you look at the depth charts, and Center Grove starts, 4 of their 5 guys are 6 foot plus, a lot of them 250 pounds or plus, and
oh dear, Carson Steele down to the 1-yard line, hopping over defenders. And sorry to cut you off there, Josh,
no,
but Carson Steele has arrived again here in the second half.
I mean, you are more than welcome to cut me off, especially when we see a thing of beauty from Carson Steele.
Off of the option.
Following his blockers, too. Great job. Great individual effort by Steele, too. The Warhorse continues to rampage on these Giants.
Carnell just got a piece of the jersey there as Taven Jackson walks in for 6 again. From 1 yard out, we've seen 4 rushes from 1 yard out for the Trojans to get on the board, and with 5:47 remaining in the third, it has been all Center Grove.
Right now it's a 2-horse race between Taven Jackson and Carson Steele to see who can get more touchdowns by the end of this night. Taven Jackson creeping closer to Carson Steele. That's perhaps one of the more competitive matches we'll be seeing within this game tonight.
Extra point up and good. So 35-0 as the Trojans go on top here in the second half. And a big time run there from Carson Steele setting it up. And before that, Taven Jackson to Connor Delp all the way down to the 15-yard line. We're seeing the guys come out and score in bunches. Will, what'd you see down there?
Guys, Center Grove is putting on a clinic right now. On the other end of the field, it was the defense holding strong and getting the 4th down stand, getting the ball back on offense. Taven Jackson, what a beautiful pass to set it up and get it on the other side of the field for them. Carson Steele with a beautiful run to set up the Taven Jackson scramble in. They're showing up, and they came here to win, obviously, because Ben Davis has no answer right now. We'll see what they have, because Center Grove is just bulldozing them. Back to you guys.
Have you had the Shakaroni yet? Papa John's biggest slices are available now at all of their Central Indiana locations. Why not get your team together after the game and order the hot, delicious, sizzling Papa John's pizza of your choice? And when you order, you're supporting those who support high school sports, and that's what we call a better deal. Also, would like to take this time to thank the folks at Frontrunner Media for providing video services for the game of the week. Also, thanks to the MIC Network Media team made up of students and participants in the Next Generation Initiative. 35-0, 5:46 remaining in the third quarter. It has been all Center Grove from the jump. Coming out with a pair of interceptions early to set up easy scores from Carson Steele. But how about this, Josh? 4 of the 5 rushing touchdowns tonight have been from 1 yard out for the Center Grove Trojans.
I mean, that's definitely been one of the more surprising stat lines of the night, but really just speaks to the Center Grove team and how they've been able to dominate in the running game.
Dalen Carnell finds a seam as Watson finally misses the end zone there, and Dalen Carnell makes the Trojans pay, exploding up to the 39-yard line and just showing his big play ability. And a guy that we've seen go both ways, offensively and defensively last season, but Coach Simmons saying they're saving him more for the defensive side of the ball this year.
It makes sense considering what he's going to be doing at the next level. He'll be continuing his football career, as we mentioned, at Missouri. Speaking of Missouri commits, Kyron Montgomery over at Pike last week making the big decision to join Dalen Carnell over at Missouri. I asked Carnell this week if he had any sort of input, and Carnell was kind of shy away to give some of the credit, but I think deep down he really was in Kyron Montgomery's ear a little bit.
I'd love to see a pair of Central Indiana guys even breaking out of the state and getting recruited by some big-time programs, and those guys having multiple other offers but deciding in on Missouri, and we wish them the best next season, and as well hoping that we do have another season.
Yes, that's a very big point that you just brought up, Logan. Thankfully, we'll be seeing a little bit of football this season, both college and professionally.
Off the pitch and catch there, Peters getting back to the original line of scrimmage. Again, going to bring up 3rd and long for the Ben Davis Giants as we close in on 4 minutes to play in the third quarter.
And at this point in the ball game, with Center Grove up by 35 points, we're approaching that running clock situation that the IHSAA introduced last year to help shorten the time for blowout games.
Swanson taking a hit there from Clark. Not before he tumbles up to the 44-yard line. Ain't going to be shy of a first down, but the Giants going to decide to bring the punt unit out.
I think at this point, Jason Simmons is waving the white flag and just telling the Giants to lick their wounds and get ready for a huge matchup next week against their crosstown rival, Warren Central.
And that's a game we will have for you on the MIC Network as well. Warren Central and Ben Davis going to be battling it out next week. And like you said, maybe the focus jumped ahead of this game, and we're looking for the big-time rivalry match for the Giants.
Perhaps, but, I mean, at the same time, definitely have an opportunity in front of. I mean, when it comes to motivation, Logan, there's no shortage of motivation considering Center Grove is the team that ended Ben Davis's season last year. But hopefully Ben Davis will come out with a much better performance overall next week when we see them take on Warren Central.
You saw Evans take it up to about the 29-yard line, but was a block in the back. Right at the line there. Two officials seeing it, throwing it out there. But you see the clock still running, and as part of the running clock rule, if at any point in the second half a team goes up by 35 points, a running clock is instituted the rest of the way. Even if the team pulls back within 28 points or 31 points or whatever that may be, the running clock will still be instituted.
Right now, Ben Davis is trying to avoid history right now. As we mentioned, the last time they were shut out at home was back in 1983. The last time Ben Davis was shut out in general was 10 years ago against Warren Central. They were shut out 36-0. This scoreline looking eerily similar to 10 years ago.
And it looks like have an official's timeout before the play. So it looks like maybe the chains were not quite set yet. So now everyone ready to go. That was official's timeout. Coach Moore not going to protest very much with his team up 35 points.
I'm sure Eric Moore, when you're Eric Moore, I mean, what more can you pick apart with this team? I mean, it's been a really solid effort, as we mentioned, shutting out both Warren Central and Carmel in consecutive weeks, and on their way to shutting out Ben Davis as well. Hard to believe that the only points that they have given up this season were to a 5A school in Decatur Central.
Absolutely, but a dangerous 5A school in Decatur Central as well, a team that we've seen has played with the best of them at the 5A level. I think Knuckles was first two there for Ben Davis taking down Weems as we have less than a minute to go in the third quarter as well. But it is tough to believe, Josh, that this Trojan team, the defense, has not had a flaw in the last couple games.
I mean, it's very easy to rest your laurels on the last couple of weeks, but for them to stay determined, I mean, it's just hats off to the maturity level of this group, especially when you look at this Center Grove roster. I mean, plenty of returning starters, as we mentioned, and I think it just goes back to what we were saying on how a lot of the guys on this team, let alone the state of Indiana, are not trying to take for granted any rep that they have this season.
Well, the question here, too, is how long will Center Grove keep the starters out on the field? Jackson rolling right side. Slings one out to Delp, because who else? Spinning back infield, up past the 20-yard line. First down, Trojans. And that will bring us to the end of the third quarter with the Center Grove Trojans, the #1 team in the state, on top of the Ben Davis Giants, 35-0. We'll have fourth quarter action right here on the MIC Network.
Tom Wood's lifetime powertrain coverage includes the 4 most important systems in your vehicle for unlimited miles and unlimited time at no cost to you. Protection from expensive repairs for a lifetime. Find the car you want the way you want at tomwood.com.
Well, the game you're watching and all the games this season are brought to you by the generous support from Tom Wood Automotive Groups, Papa John's, the Marriott East Hotel, Brand Visions, and Front Runner Media. Please support these companies because they are the ones who continue to support high school sports. As well as we'd like to specifically welcome the Tom Wood Automotive Group as our newest partner. If you're looking for a new Nissan, Toyota, Lexus, or one of the other 9 brands that they sell, let the exceptional team at Tom Wood help you find your next car. Or you can keep the car you now drive in tip-top shape. check out all of their locations at tomwood.com. 35-0, Trojans leading the Ben Davis Giants, looking for their third straight shutout and looking to shut out the Carmel Greyhounds, the Warren Central Warriors, and the Ben Davis Giants in back-to-back-to-back weeks, a feat that we have not found in the record books to ever have happened.
I think we'll unofficially call this the first time that this has happened, let alone in consecutive weeks, Logan. We've talked about the blowout streak at stake, but also Eric Moore well on his way to win number 200 in his Center Grove coaching career. A win tonight, again, would give him 200 and 248 overall in his coaching career. 250 looks to be well within reach over the next couple of weeks as well.
Trojans right now, the all-on favorite to make it to Lucas Oil. Still early on in the season, but looking the part as Steele gets stood up just past the line of scrimmage there. Not very much running room as, again, who else? Charles Knuckles in on the tackle.
And Charles Knuckles, a name that we haven't really brought up that much. Jason Simmons mentioned that he didn't really have the best of starts to this season, but had a bounce-back performance last week against Pike. We know Knuckles getting some looks at a couple of Division I FCS schools, Indiana State, Western Illinois, Grand Valley State over in Division II, as well as Southeastern Mississippi State.
And should be playing at the next level with the intensity he plays with. Jackson hit from behind, fumbled, touchdown, Ben Davis. Toomer getting in for the score.
Well, there goes the shutout streak.
The shutout streak is over, and it comes from the defense scoring 6 for the Ben Davis Giants. And how about that? Take a look here.
That's so
arm not back, and that is a fumble on the ground. Toomer comes up with it. That was Boatwright coming in.
And weird for Taven Jackson not to anticipate Anil Boatwright coming in. That was on the strong side, the throwing side for Taven Jackson. Of course, he kept his eyes downfield, as you saw in that replay. Still, if you're Taven Jackson, you should have at least anticipated something coming. Still, nonetheless, good job for Ben Davis to at least get on the board, but they did miss the extra point.
So missed PAT there makes it 35-6, but the Giants do get on the board here late, and maybe a little bit of a moral victory there for Ben Davis and that Giant defense.
Well, I don't think if you're Jason Simmons, I don't think moral victories are going to be coming tonight, but at least you can avoid some you can avoid being on the wrong side of history if you're Ben Davis. Still, we've talked about Keoke Toomer a couple of times tonight, and plays like that are exactly why Toomer is definitely a focal point of this defense for this season and next season, as he's only a junior.
And good to hear the band playing in the background as well. Love the setup here at Ben Davis High School. Did a nice job socially distancing, people wearing their masks, so that we can continue lacing up and playing some more high school football.
As you see out on the stands as well, Ben Davis looks like the fans doing a good job socially distancing within their specific groups as well, a trend that we have seen all throughout the state of Indiana. And again, just very fortunate right now that these players are able to play the game that they love. And, you know, of course, you and I, Logan, being in the booth, calling the game that we love.
Ball teed up here. Giants, again, kicking this one. Low, bouncing at the 15, fielded by Weems, past the 20. Weems taking contact at the 30, barreling forward to the 33-yard line. And that is where Center Grove will set up yet again. And it looks like the starters have officially been pulled here. It's Taven Jackson now trotting onto the field, just a little late getting to the party.
Probably trying to catch up to Carson Steele's touchdown mark. He probably wants to, I think he wants to tie him up one more time before we get to triple zeros.
Handoff to Steele. Again, so shifty in the backfield. Rushing forward for about 9 on the play. Finally dragged down from behind by George.
Again, we've talked about Carson Steele trying to chase a milestone and become the all-time leader in rushing yards at Center Grove. It's just interesting looking at the stats that he's put up. He's only averaged 92 yards on the ground this season, in large part because of how deep this running back group is. He hasn't had to shoulder the load like he typically has all season.
It's a little misdirection there with Hoffman getting it to the 50, first down, Trojans. And the run game still alive and well for Center Grove.
And I know the run defense has been an area of focus for this Ben Davis defense. Of course, taking a major step back against a run-heavy team like Center Grove, but they'll need to bring their A game next week when they go to take on Warren Central.
There's the sweep for Connor Delp. Delp getting past the 15, but a flag coming in near the line of scrimmage late.
Yeah, it looks like that's going back. It looks like the officials, or at least the flag, is in the vicinity of a hold.
And good call on that, Josh. It is a hold, which will bring it back. Otherwise, Connor Delp was off to the races.
So rather than that long run by Delp all the way back to the Center Grove 40.
And that's what Connor Delp does for you, just an all-around athlete out there for the Trojans. Whether he's running streaks down the middle of the field, taking it off of sweeps, he can do it all for Center Grove. He scores in a variety of ways.
Essentially the Swiss Army knife. He can get it done on the ground, through the air. And again, just a key cog in this Center Grove offense. No wonder why Taven Jackson loves to go to him in money down situations.
1st and 20 after the penalty from the 40. Steele getting about 5 of those back. First down carry. Williams with the tackle. And now a flag coming in late.
We'll see what this flag is as we wait for it. Logan, I want to ask you if you know the story behind Carson Steele's Warhorse nickname.
I do not.
Well, actually, I did have a chance to ask Carson Steele right before the season on our Instagram Live interview. The name came from a class of 2018 Trojan, Sam Holt. It was back in a middle school game, and Carson Steele ran off for, like, if I can recall correctly, like an 80, 90-yard touchdown run back in a middle school game. The run was called back due to a penalty, and he was absolutely gassed. Had to go to the bathroom and basically, to put it politely, take a little bit of a breather, so to say. But next thing you know, comes out a few minutes later and runs it in for another long-distance touchdown. Sam Holt comes running in, galloping like a horse. Carson Steele's asking, "What are you doing? Why are you galloping like a horse?" And Sam Holt says, "Because you're a war horse. You're a war horse."
And I would say that is one of the most fitting nicknames that we have ever seen here in the MIC as well. Carson Steele definitely like a war horse from middle school to now.
And again, it's been such a pleasure to see his career grow from his freshman year to now. Just pulling up the tape from when he was a freshman. Learned his lessons when he was injured last year. As there's a ball on the ground, but that's coming back.
It's not going to be an illegal snap there. But when you think about it as well, you think the numbers are impressive for Carson Steele now. Imagine if he wouldn't have been injured last year.
Well, that's a very good point, Logan. I'm sure he would have been able to break the career rushing touchdown and rushing yards records towards the end of last season if he was healthy.
Absolutely. And maybe would have put up some numbers that were untouchable even in the IHSAA realm as well.
Maybe challenging Charlie Spiegel over at Noop, at the recent Noopow graduate.
Absolutely.
Well, you look at Carson Steele, like, again, just going back to our conversation from this year, some of his goals for this year. He wants 3,000 yards, 40 touchdowns, and Mr. Football. I'm not sure if, considering how he's been getting the number of carries this year, if that's going to happen. But maybe Mr. Football is within reach.
Clay Stoneball coming up with the reception there. First down, Center Grove, as Taven Jackson a little slow behind the play, a little wobbly. But came up with the big-time pass.
Clay Stambaugh, the first time we've had to call his name tonight, rarely used, only 3 carries on the season that time. He gets it done through the air for his first reception of the season.
10 seconds on the play clock here, and personnel changes for the Trojans.
Eric Moore might have to use a timeout. Offense just getting out of the huddle now. And Eric Moore is going to call that timeout.
With 4:43 remaining in the fourth quarter, Taven Jackson, you see, with his hands on his head. A little gas there. Took a little bit of a shot. But it's been all Center Grove still. Coming from everywhere, but Carson Steele and Taven Jackson really stealing the show for the Trojans. The Stars are coming out tonight in Week 4 action. And looking ahead, Josh, as well, to what we've seen from Center Grove, they're going to pick up a win here. They're going to be 4-0, going back home to take on North Central, a team that maybe has caught some teams by surprise. And frankly, I'm not sure why we are ever surprised by North Central anymore with what Coach Kevin O'Shea has done there.
They didn't surprise me heading into the season. Perhaps the only reason why North Central hasn't been talked about more is just because a lot of question marks on the offensive side of the ball. I was there week 2 when they came back and won against Hamilton Southeastern, and there were definitely some growing moments for this North Central offense, and especially considering their offseason was even shorter than some of the other schools. The Washington Township School Board elected to cancel or suspend all athletics for a couple of weeks, and ooh, what a tackle.
Now it's Boatwright upending Eli Holt there.
And we see pretty much all the backups in right now, so Taven Jackson done for the day. But North Central getting it done. Again, last time I checked, they were leading against Lawrence North. I think aside from Center Grove, North Central is probably the most complete football team in the MIC. Definitely a lot of growing pains still to come on offense, but Zaid Vestal, we've seen what he could do. He torched a Fisher's defense that has some playmakers on that side of the ball. Not to mention they got Theron Johnson playing both ways, heading to Northwestern. And it'll be a great test against Center Grove, probably the biggest test that Center Grove has had all season next week.
Absolutely. Home against North Central, then home against Lawrence Central. On the road against Pike. On the road against Lawrence North, and then ending it with Cathedral, another team that has looked really strong as well, even in a lower class. So things getting a little tougher as well for the Trojans. And we talked about Ben Davis next week going cross town to take on the Warren Central Warriors.
Warren Central looking much improved. Again, last time we checked, they were up 30-0 over Lawrence Central. A team that took Lawrence North to the wire in our MIC Network Game of the Week last week. But Warren Central, Ben Davis, you and I know very well when these two crosstown rivals meet, throw out all the records, and it is an absolute showdown.
Absolutely, always a showdown when those two teams match up. And it seems like this year, the only thing that we can really hang our hat on is that Center Grove has been the most consistent team so far. We've seen a couple teams rise and shine here and there, but understanding what you're going to get out of every team, you're just not quite sure this season. And it feels a lot like how last season ended with almost a 4-way tie for first place. So there was just anyone could beat anyone on any given day.
I would say schools 2 through 5 in the MIC are going to be more emblematic of what we saw last season. But for Center Grove, they remind me of what we saw in 2017 and 2018 when there was a clear-cut favorite. 2017 was Ben Davis. 2018 was Warren Central. Last year, of course, there was a gap of a team that was the clear-cut favorite, and that's why we saw a lot of parity. This year, not as much at the top, but from teams 2 to 5, it really looks like it could be any team winning on any given day.
And there's a touchdown strike with the icing on top. Cody George, the senior, getting the grab, but now a hold going to be called against Center Grove. Take the touchdown off the board.
As we look at the replay, well, maybe not as much, but tough look as Micah Coyle, the backup quarterback.
Yeah, it looked like there. Center Grove had a good look there for this second unit. Instead, you're going to be 4th down as we near 2 minutes remaining in this ball game. So take the touchdown off the board for Owen Wright, the backup quarterback, the sophomore. And same play, why not? As Wright gets thrown out of bounds for a sack there.
Looked like Mike Tunstall on the sack. He's been getting some reps towards late game situations. I believe that is sack number 2 or 3 on the season for that defensive end.
Once again, running clock still in effect.
We'll see. Pretty much the only question mark at this point is if we'll see Jawan Swanson trot out. Instead, it looks like we'll get the backup quarterback, Chris Patterson, another junior.
Patterson, another dangerous quarterback with his legs. And now a timeout here from Coach Simmons. And the Giants want to talk things over.
Well, of course, clearly a frustrating night for Coach Simmons and company, but the nice thing is that this season is still very young. They were in this spot last season, a 1-3 record, and all it took was a comeback victory against Warren Central to really ignite a spark to the second half of the season. Perhaps history will repeat itself next week, but you got to look at the records for both Ben Davis and Warren Central. If the results hold, Ben Davis and Warren Central will both come into the next week's game with 1 win, and really, whoever comes out of this Circle City Showdown next week can really use it as a linchpin to ignite the second half of the season, maybe even inspire a run in the postseason.
Absolutely, and now's the time for maybe some adjustments as well. I mean, this is where either you turn your season around or you end up just completely throwing in the season and end up an early exit in sectionals. So now's the time to figure it out when the wins don't necessarily matter, but I'm not going to tell that to Coach Moore, who's on his way to his 200th victory at Center Grove. Oh, and another jump there.
Even if Ben Davis doesn't come away with the win next week against Warren Central, I believe they do have the benefit of a more or less weaker sectional, as they'll be on the west side of the bracket. If I can recall, I know Arsenal Tech is in that bracket. And Logan, if you want to refresh my memory, I just know that there's not as
Southport and Perry Meridian.
Southport and Perry Meridian, yeah. So, no, Ben Davis is the only MIC team in that sectional pod. So perhaps taking advantage of some games there may inspire a postseason run in that capacity.
Letting it fly. Patterson gets his man, and there's 6 more. Touchdown, Ben Davis. And who else? Raylan Richardson coming up with another big-time score from 66 yards out.
I really like this young man. He has been more than a spark for this Ben Davis offense, and he's something to build around if you're Jason Simmons. As long as the connection is there between Jawan Swanson and Richardson, at least Richardson can provide somewhat of a spark for this offense as some of the other younger guys like Dylan Moore and Donnell Mason continue to develop.
Lindsay on for the extra point. And this one, again, hits the upright, no good. So 35-12 with 47 seconds remaining in this one. And tell you what, when it rains, it pours here for Ben Davis. Just can't seem to get a break there on the upright.
Even when things go right, they still somehow go wrong. Pretty much the story of this game for Ben Davis.
And it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back against Warren Central next week, a game that we'll have here on the MIC Network, to see if they can right the ship, because the score doesn't necessarily reflect everything that we saw from Ben Davis this time around, as we want to get a second look on what that touchdown looked like from Will Matchett.
Guys, Ben Davis gets the score here off the deep bomb, but a little too late. As you can see, Center Grove still leading by a bunch, and the game's almost over. But Center Grove taking a huge lead, and it looks like they're going to take this one. We'll see what happens at the end of this game. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Will, and looks like a little too late as well, as the Trojans will continue their undefeated season and quest for Lucas Oil Stadium in a year in which, I agree with you, Josh, there is a clear-cut favorite, and that is going to be the Center Grove Trojans.
If you look at how their sectional is drawn up too, they'll have the benefit of the doubt, or the benefit of a not as strong sectional, or at least not playing any MIC competition until the regional round. But still a long, long way to go until we even talk about, let alone see sectional play.
As we all are trying to do our part to make sure that we make it to sectional play as well here in the state of Indiana, and especially out at these games. You love seeing fans in the stands, bands on the field, cheerleaders down on the sidelines, and everyone doing a nice job of socially distancing.
At least bring in some semblance of normalcy here in this unending, crazy year that is 2020. And it looks like Center Grove just gonna take the knee. They'll be content with this win.
And a good win for the Trojans, number 200 for Coach Moore. As the Trojans find themselves again on the track for an undefeated season as they win this one 35-12.
And the Center Grove faithful knows exactly what this win means tonight. All of them holding out 200 signs for win number 200. As the Center Grove head coach, Eric Moore, of course, will be going for win number 249 overall next week against North Central, and is well within striking distance for win number 250 overall as a head coach.
And the question remains, what will we see from Ben Davis next week? When rivalries happen, you throw the records out the door.
Take it from last week, the Battle of Lawrence Township, a very close matchup in that one. I fully expect a much better Ben Davis team to show up next week, especially when they're taking on their crosstown foe that's going to be determined as they are.
As we're going to send it down to Will, match it down on the sideline.
Guys, I'm here with Mick, player of the game, Carson Steele. Carson, congrats on a huge win tonight.
Thank you.
I mean, obviously the fans out here, 200th win for Coach Moore. What are your thoughts on him as a player, and what does this mean to the team?
It's just a blessing, with the injury last year and stuff, it's definitely, a blessing to be able to come back out here and win as a team, especially the 200th one for Coach Moore at Center Grove. So, it's truly an honor to be able to, do what we do.
Oh, yeah. And tonight the defense came up huge. I mean, only allowing Ben Davis, 14 points? And they just came up huge, and having a great defense leads to a great offense, and you had it going tonight, just bulldozing through that defense. I mean, what was the game plan from Coach tonight?
We always, game plan, running backs, keep running your feet, don't let one guy tackle you. That's our big motto for our running backs. With our defense, number one team in the state, obviously, for defense, just love those guys, they're always bringing everybody down, so, it's just awesome.
And last thing, tonight you did become the school's rushing touchdown leader. I mean, that's got to be huge for you. And, I mean, what a career. Congrats.
Thank you.
What are your thoughts on that?
Just again, it's a blessing. After I just said like an injury and stuff like that from last year, it's just truly a blessing to be able to come out and get that record.
Yeah, no doubt. Congrats again on the win. Go have some fun, all right?
Thank you very much.
That was our MIC player of the game, Carson Steele. Center Grove with a huge win, now 4-0 in the conference. We'll see what they have next week. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Will, and once again, congratulations to our MIC Network player of the game, Carson Steele, the Warhorse. We mentioned him all night long.
He really, well warranted for him, of course, eclipsing the all-time career rushing touchdown mark in Center Grove program history, and more than likely getting the career rushing yards mark. Of course, we'll have to check the official stats the next day. But well done for him, of course, a storied career for the Warhorse.
And again, 200 victories at Center Grove now for Coach Moore.
You list all the accolades that Coach Moore has brought to Center Grove. Of course, state titles come to mind, not to mention all the kids that he's coached up through the years. And you just know how much the Center Grove community or you know how much Eric Moore means to this community, just knowing all the Center Grove fans that were able to show up tonight, just filling up the stands to max capacity, and not to mention all those watching at home as well.
And we go back and look at some of the highlights here. It started in that first quarter just from Carson Steele taking over, pounding it in whenever he had the opportunity. And the defense getting things started with a couple intersections. First one there from Trey Clark.
And really got to credit James Schott for creating the pressure, setting up the interception. We've called James Schott all night. We've called Austin Booker's name all night long, as well as Caden Curry. Just a talented group up front. And they're one of the biggest reasons why this Trojans defense has been amongst the best in the state.
Absolutely great defense, set up a great offense, and a couple times you saw Trojans just coming in from only a couple yards out, setting themselves up for some easy scores. The field position game definitely favored Center Grove.
It really did, and that just goes back to what Center Grove was able to do defensively. And part of the onus is on Ben Davis, too. They took some careless mistakes, as you're going to see on this play right here. Jawan Swanson was trying to force the issue on this deep ball. We know Jawan Swanson could stretch the field vertically, but that time an ill-advised throw, throwing it right to Dane Young. What a game that Dane Young had as well, stopping a lot of scores as Ben Davis was threatening in the red zone. Ben Davis had plenty of opportunities to make this game competitive towards the end of the first half, but a lot of miscues, a lot of penalties did them in, and that was a reason why the final score was 35-12.
Exactly that, and Center Grove getting it done offensively and defensively, and there was a score there for Ben Davis late to break that shutout. Thought we might see another one, but Ben Davis coming through when they needed to get some points on the board there late. And now the question is, how are they going to respond? What is Coach Simmons going to say to the guys? What's the message going to be to get them ready for the MIC game of the week next week and Warren Central?
Well, once again, Ben Davis finds themselves in adverse circumstances. Like last year, they're sitting at 1-3, but they have a golden opportunity next week to not only take down their crosstown rival in Warren Central, but perhaps replicate the spark that they had last year with getting a win like that. As we saw last year, a win over Warren Central was the spark plug that ignited that second half run for Ben Davis. If they can take care of business against their crosstown rivals, perhaps that's the spark plug that they'll need to restart their season, because this Ben Davis team, they definitely have talent on both sides of the ball, but we know they're young, and the fact that they had a shortened offseason, just like all these other schools, definitely doesn't help the fact that, you know, they're going to be making mistakes throughout the early portion of this season.
Absolutely, and this is going to be a team to look out for. And the Center Grove Trojans, like we talked about, the #1 team heading into this one, flexed their muscle, showed what they're about. It's a team to definitely watch out for, especially later on in the season. But next week, MIC Network Game of the Week, Ben Davis and Warren Central will be there covering that, the crosstown matchup. We've talked about it already. Going to be a great game between those two teams. We're anticipating. We'll see how Ben Davis responds. That'll do it for us, though, here from Ben Davis High School. Final score of this one, Center Grove 35, Ben Davis 12.
The MIC Network Game of the Week is brought to you by the Tomwood Automotive Group, Papa John's, Marriott East Indianapolis, Grand Visions, and Frontrunner Media. You can watch the MIC Network Game of the Week on the MIC Network website, IndyStar.com, and WTHR Facebook Live.